I still think about that night on West Dalton Avenue in Spokane. I was 17, a junior in high school, and I had watched Little Wren for this same family so many times that their house felt like home. It was just a neat ranch house with a small porch and a front window. That Friday, Mr. and Mrs. Vale drove off to dinner at Incrediburger and Eggs on Indiana Avenue and told me they would be back by 9:30. Wren had already fallen asleep on the couch with one sock still on. I remember because I had just picked up a crayon off the rug and found a dead fly on the windowsill. I was watching Netflix, half paying attention, thinking about a math quiz I had not studied for. I also remembered I had left my own trash in my room, so it would smell bad when I got home. Around 8, I heard the doorbell. I did not move at first. The Vales had told me not to open the door for anyone, not even if it was someone I knew. I figured it was probably a delivery mistake or a neighbor. Then the bell rang again. Then came 3 hard knocks. After that, a man outside said my name. Not the babysitter, my real name. I sat up so fast I dropped the remote. The TV kept playing, bright and stupid, and for a second I thought maybe I had imagined it. Then the same voice said my name again, calm and close, like he was standing right against the wood. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely text. I sent Mr. Vale a message that just said, "Someone is at the door and they know my name." He answered right away, "Don't open it. I don't know who that is. Call 911. I called. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line and not make a sound unless I had to. The house was so quiet after that. Even Wren was still asleep. I kept looking at the front door and the little glass panel beside it. I could not see anything through the glass because the porch light was out, which was strange. I knew that light usually came on by itself when someone walked up. Another knock came, softer this time. Then, nothing. I was whispering into the phone, trying not to wake Wren, when I heard footsteps on the porch. Slow steps. Then a scrape, like someone touching the wall. I wanted to look through the peephole, but I did not. I kept telling myself there had to be a reason. Maybe some drunk guy had the wrong house. Maybe he had heard me inside and just guessed my name from something stupid. The police got there in 6 minutes. It felt longer. 2 cars stopped by the curb, and one officer checked the side yard while another came to the door with his hand on his belt. By then, the street was empty. No person. No car leaving. Nothing. The officer knocked anyway, and I opened it only after he told me to. Wren woke up crying when she heard voices. He asked me a few questions, then walked onto the porch and looked up at the light. He took one look and muttered, "Well, that's fucked." He showed me the bulb. The motion light had been unscrewed 1 full turn, just enough to kill the circuit without taking it out. Someone had done it earlier, maybe before sunset. He said whoever came there knew exactly what they were doing, because the porch stayed dark, but nothing looked broken from the street. Then he asked, "How many people knew you were babysitting here tonight?" I said, "Nobody, I guess." Then I thought about my Instagram story. At 5:40, I had posted a picture of Wren's drawing on the fridge. It was a silly drawing of a cat with giant eyes. I had tagged the location because I always did that stuff without thinking. My account was public. I had 340 followers then. Some I knew, some I barely knew, and some I had never met at all. Sitting in the Spokane police waiting room later, I made the account private with my hands still shaking. I remember the waiting room smelled like old coffee and wet coats, and a vending machine kept buzzing. Nobody ever found out who it was. The police said they searched the street and the yards, but that part of Spokane was quiet and dark, and the man was just gone. Mr. and Mrs. Vale came home looking pale and upset. They kept saying sorry, like this had been their fault. I stayed in touch with Ren's mom for a while, but I never babysat there again. I also stopped posting where I was, even in harmless little ways. Every now and then, years later, I still think about that porch. I think about someone standing there in the dark, already knowing my name, waiting for me to make one stupid choice. I've done maybe 30 babysitting jobs through Sitter City. Quiet nights, easy money, home by midnight. That's how it always went. But there was one night in Grove City, a suburb just outside Columbus, Ohio, that I genuinely don't like thinking about. Not because anything insane happened, but because of what it meant. Someone had been watching me before I even walked through that door. I'm Davini. I'm 24. I babysit on weekends mostly, just to cover gas and stuff. I got a booking through Sitter City back in October. A couple in Grove City needed someone for their 2 kids while they went to a birthday party. I'd never met them before. That's normal though. Half my jobs are first-timers. The house was on Thornberry Lane. A rental. They mentioned that when they showed me around. Normal house. Beige walls, toys on the carpet, a half-empty box of goldfish crackers on the counter. The mom, Preslin, which I thought was a really pretty name, she was sweet. Went over everything fast because they were already running late. Wi-Fi password on a sticky note. $40 in cash for a Donato's pizza nearby. The dad, Culfrey, locked the front door on his way out and waved. The kids were fine. Tolly was 3 and basically just wanted to watch the same episode of Bluey on repeat. The older one, Sims, was 8 and already in his pajamas when I got there, which was kind of adorable. We ordered pizza. Tolly got sauce on his shirt. Sims ate 4 slices and looked pretty proud of himself. I put Tolly down around 8:30. He had this Tony's thing, one of those little speaker box toys, and it played a story for him. He was out in like 10 minutes. Sims stayed up until 9, then went to bed no problem. So it was just me downstairs. I was on the couch watching something dumb on my phone, not really paying attention. The house was quiet except for the heater clicking on and off. There was a small ceramic owl on the shelf across from me, and for some reason it kept bothering me. The eyes were painted super wide. I turned it to face the wall. Yeah, I know. At 9:45, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Are you still inside? I looked at it for a second. Figured wrong number. Didn't reply. At 10:02, another one. I can see the upstairs light is on. Okay, that one sat different. I just stared at it. The upstairs hall light was on. I could see it from the bottom of the stairs. I went up, turned it off, and stood at the window in the dark. Just looked out at the street. It was empty. A car parked across the way, no one in it from what I could see. A street light with a flicker. Nothing moving. I texted Preslin. She called me back in under 2 minutes. She said she had no idea who that number was, and her voice got tight. She told me to check the back door. Then, she said they were leaving the party now. I went to the back door. It was locked, but the sliding bolt above the handle, the extra one near the top of the door, that was unlatched. Slid all the way to the side. I had not touched that bolt. I didn't even know it was there until that moment. Here's the thing. I don't know if it was already like that when I got there. I don't know if Culfrey forgot to lock it, or if someone had been at that door before I even arrived. I don't know. That's what gets me. I grabbed both kids and took them to the master bedroom upstairs, locked that door, sat on the floor with my back against it. Sims woke up confused, and I told him I thought I heard something weird, and we were just chilling in here for a bit. He bought it. Tali slept through the whole thing. The Tony's box was still going in the corner, softly telling some story about a rabbit. I called the police before the parents even made it home. When they pulled up at 10:48, there was already a squad car on the block. Officers walked the yard, checked around back. Nothing. Nobody. The following week, a detective told me the unknown number had been registered to a prepaid SIM card, purchased at a Walmart on Stringtown Road in Grove City. Paid cash at 4:17 p.m. The same afternoon I'd started that job. Someone bought that SIM card after knowing I'd be in that house. My Sitter City profile had my photo, my first name. It said I was available in the Columbus area. That's genuinely all someone would need. I deleted my profile that night. I haven't used the app since. You know those nights where everything seems totally normal at first? That's how it started for me. I took a babysitting job because I needed cash for college. The family looked perfect on Facebook. But by the end of the night, I was locked in a bathroom with the kid, calling the cops. And the parents? They weren't even surprised. This really happened to me. My name is Avery Quinn. I was 19 and a sophomore in college back then. I lived off Maple Lawn Drive in Naperville, Illinois. Money was tight, so I checked the neighborhood Facebook group for side jobs. The post from the Whitmore family caught my eye. They had a 7-year-old boy named Declan and needed a sitter for one night. The parents seemed nice. They said it was for a company dinner downtown in Chicago. I replied, and we set it up for that Friday. I got to their house a little after 6:30. It was a 2-story home with a nice yard. Mrs. Whitmore opened the door with a big smile. Mr. Whitmore was putting on his jacket. They showed me the kitchen quick. There was a handwritten schedule on the granite counter. They said Declan was easy. They headed out and told me they would be back around 11. Declan came down. He was a cute kid with messy hair. He told me about his day at school while I made him a bowl of Annie's mac and cheese. We sat at the table and ate it. It tasted good, and I was hungry because I forgot to eat earlier. Then we moved to the couch and watched 2 episodes of SpongeBob. He laughed at the funny parts. At 8:30, I put him to bed. He brushed his teeth, and I read him a short story. Then I turned the light off and closed the door. Downstairs, I settled on the couch. It was around 10:15. I had my phone out scrolling. A half-drunk can of Sprite sat on the coffee table. The house was quiet. The only sound was the fridge humming. Suddenly, I heard Declan's voice from upstairs. He said she said not to go downstairs yet. I stopped and listened. I stood at the bottom of the stairs for a minute. I knew I had to check. I went up slow. The stairs creaked a bit. I got to his room and opened the door a crack. He was sitting up in bed. I asked who he was talking to. He said the lady on the phone like it was nothing. I asked what phone. He pulled out a cheap brick-style prepaid phone from under his pillow. It was the kind you buy at Walgreens. I had never seen it. It had no apps, just one number labeled H. He said the last call was 14 minutes ago. That was while I was on the couch. I took the phone from him. I told him to stay in bed. I went downstairs. I tried calling the Whitmore parents. No answer. I called twice more. Nothing. I walked toward the front door. Then I noticed the schedule on the counter. There at the bottom was a line I had not seen. It said, "Don't let him use the blue phone." The schedule was written in advance. The mom knew about the phone. I felt sick all of a sudden. The call had come while I was 10 feet from the front window. Someone had been watching the house to time it right. I said out loud, "What the fuck?" before I could stop myself. I locked every door, the front, the back, the side one. My fingers fumbled with the locks. I called 911. Then I got Declan and took him into the upstairs bathroom. We sat on the floor. He kept asking if everything was okay. I said it was a safety game. The police showed up fast. They checked the house and yard. No one was there. But in the backyard along the fence there were 2 fresh shoe impressions facing the sliding glass door. The mud was soft from recent rain. The Whitmores pulled up at 11:40. They saw the police but stayed calm. Mrs. Whitmore asked, "Did he use the phone?" Not what happened. They thanked the police and went inside. I never babysat for them again. The next day, I reported it to the Naperville PD. 4 weeks later, the family moved out. Nobody ever explained the phone or who H was. I still think about that night. It makes me check my locks twice. You never know who is watching. Sometimes I wonder if the lady on the phone was waiting for something else to happen. But I guess we will never know. I told my roommate about it the next morning, and she thought I was exaggerating at first.